Welcome everybody to the Reach Out podcast. This is your host, Juan Borges. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Hope you're having an amazing day. I'm sure having an amazing day because it's podcast recording day. So, that's the highlight of every day like this one. So today is a very special episode because as you may already be seeing on the YouTube video or if you're looking at us on TikTok, David Ninan is the episode guest for today. So David, thank you for being here. How's it going, man?
Hey, thank you, Quan. Thank you for having me today. Doing well. It's a Sunday. I just got back from church, so it's been good, man. It's been good.
Absolutely, man. So I remember, David, when you were president for the SPO, Sourcing and Procurement Organization here at Bauer College of Business. That's when I met you. So I was just beginning in this organization, and seeing you as president really not only made me look up to you, but also just expanded my limitations on what I thought I could accomplish as a student and as a work at the same time. So I would have never thought that just a couple of years later, I would have you in this program. So I'm sure that not only myself, but also all the listeners are very happy from all the advice and all your perspectives that you're going to be giving on this episode. So we're excited, man.
Hey, yeah, thank you for the opportunity once again. I mean, I remember when we first met, you had this really good personality and you were outgoing, trying to learn. And I see you doing this podcast now and this new project where you want to help out people. And I appreciate it a lot. I think it's a really cool thing that you're doing. And I'm excited to give my two-piece advice. Hopefully it can be something that can be utilized based on my experience. I think I've learned quite a lot, but obviously there's a lot more to learn. So I'm happy to help where I can.
Totally, man. So just before we get started, I want to remind you, all of you guys, to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you're only doing audio, and give us a rating and review. We also are on Instagram, so follow us on there, and on TikTok. So make sure to comment whatever you want. I want to listen to your suggestions, and listen to what you guys want to hear about. So with that said, David, tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school, and just your experience overall, man.
All right, so I'll start off with where I grew up. I was born and raised in India, in the capital city of New Delhi. I lived in India for about 13 years, and then I moved to the U.S., where I lived in Houston, Texas, and I've been here ever since. I started high school here, and just trying to, assimilate, not really assimilate, but I guess, just get used to the cultural differences and, get acquainted with all the different things that I had to learn. So it was pretty cool. It was a little bit of a challenge, but at the same time, I had some good people around me, and I learned a lot through mistakes, but also through just other people's stories. Didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was going into college. I was actually a mechanical engineering major because my mom's a Chem E major and she's a chemical engineer. She works for KBR, which is an EPC company. And my brother, he was really smart, and I was the kind of wild kid, not knowing what he's doing. I always was into sports. That was my thing, and being the class clown, that was who I was, right? And then my brother, he's going to med school right now, so he was a lot smarter, very organized, older brother kind of vibes. So I didn't really know what I was going to do. My parents were just just do mechanical engineering, graduate college, and we'll try to get you a job. And I was kind of just okay, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. I didn't really care about college. And when I first moved, I didn't even know what the different universities are and how the universities work in the U.S. So I didn't really have a passion for it, right? And my brother actually and my cousin were the ones who fought with my mom. They actually had a long argument, and they were yeah, don't make him do engineering. He's not meant for it. He'll actually just cry and be miserable forever. Don't let him do that. Let him do business. He likes talking to people. He's a lot more business minded. He's street smart, not book smart, and that's 100% true. When it comes to academics, I'm not the guy. But yeah, I mean, so I ended up just doing business just because my brother and my cousin recommended I do that. But my parents weren't very supportive at first. They were okay, hey, man, I feel if that's what you want to do, you can go ahead. But nobody in our family's ever done business. My parents actually thought being in business is kind of having a lot of money and starting a business, entrepreneurship. So they were hey, man, we came to the U.S. with $200 and 8 suitcases. We didn't even have much, so we can't really support you, and then you got to figure out yourself, right? And if you mess up and if you fail at the end, then you can't come crying back to us because we don't have the money to send you back to college again or do something more for you. And I was all right, bro. So for me, it was a little bit like discouraging at first, but I used it as a motivation. I kind of like was a little bit angry at first, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. You know, like I had that mindset, and like when I graduated high school, I was bottom 50th percentile. So all my friends were like really, really smart. They went to like UT, A&M, and like Ivy League schools, and I went to U of H. So like they would like look down on me a little bit because like you know like they have that little stigma that UH is not that good. At least back in the day, like 2018, like that was a little bit of the case. Like now it's a lot better because like UH is on the come up. We're doing like great and everything. Bauer is amazing, right? So it was kind of a way for me to like figure out like okay, this is all or nothing right now, bro. Like you gotta like grow up. You gotta figure out what you want to do. So I ended up doing finance and accounting. I decided to do a double major because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll like instead of just getting one major, I'll do two. So that way people are like, yeah, he really did that, you know? Like that was the mindset going, you know, I'll be completely honest. And so I started doing finance and accounting, hated accounting. Did like two classes. And I was like, this is not for me. Like I can't do it, right? And then like honestly, I was just like curious about what's in business. And my goal was to like get an internship because like nobody freshman year gets an internship usually. It's very rare. So I was like, this is like a way I'm gonna prove myself to everybody else that I could do it, right? So my entire focus like freshman year was like, okay, just network, go get yourself out there and try to like talk to people, get yourself involved in an organization that's like prestigious enough. And at that time I thought like Bio Ambassadors would be a really good organization to join. So I joined Bio Ambassadors. And then I just went to like every single career fair. Like I would go to like the pre-mixers. I would like get myself just out there. And, like I had a roommate who was really, really smart. So I kind of like tag along to whatever he's doing, you know. And so one of the pre-mixers, I believe, before the career fair, I talked to this one guy. And that's how I got my first internship because we just had a really good conversation. I didn't have much on my resume. I used to work as a gymnastics coach and like work at Kumon and worked at like a Sunday school teacher, you know, like so I didn't really have like corporate experience, but I used my social skills and like my soft skills to kind of like sell myself. And so that's how I like got into my first internship. And from there it got a lot easier because after you get your first internship, like you just have to like continue networking and like build yourself out from there. Went through quite a few internships. By the end, I had 6. And then now, after I graduated, I'm currently working at IBM. I'm a technology consultant focusing on SAP practice, where I'm in the embedded analytics side. So working with a lot with like the data scientists, working with data analytics, which is something that I did not study at all. Like I actually I ended up studying finance and supply chain management because I changed my major within business like 5-6 times. I did like finance and accounting, finance and marketing, finance and management for like a day. And I was like, it's not worth it. Just be honest. No hate to the management majors out there. Just it wasn't for me, you know. But then I ended up with finance and supply chain management, which happened during like COVID. So I was in my second internship, and there was this guy named Gabriel de la Puente, and he was an officer in SBO at that point. And me and him used to intern together. And he kind of introduced me to supply chain, and he introduced me to like what SBO is. And he kind of encouraged me, hey, you should join. Like, I feel like you would really like it. Check it out. And I was like, all right, bro, like, I might as well try it. Don't really know what I'm doing. And I think I was going to take my first supply chain class at the next semester. The next semester. So I was like, okay, maybe this would be a good way to get in. And I kind of fell in love with it, you know. I always wanted to do finance because I was really into like investing. I used to kind of like do like options trading and like regular stock trading too, but like mostly options trading. And like I would pay like sophomore year, I would pay my rent doing options trading. So I was like, hey man, this is dope. I'm learning a lot, but it's very volatile. I don't recommend anyone doing it like that. Don't pay your rent doing options trading because you might like make some gains one day and then lose all of it the next day. So you have to be very careful about how you do it. Like I lost like 98% of my portfolio at one point, like literally. So after that I realized like, yeah, that's not the way to go. But I really like finance and supply chain together because I realized like a company's performance, financial performance, a lot of times is also dependent on how their operational performance is. Like investments are important and like the investor relations are important. But if your company's not doing well operationally and they're not able to bring out products on time or like with good quality, the finances and like the financials of the company are also going to tank, right? And supply chain management is all about like bring the end product like from beginning to end to the customer, right? So I decided to like put them together, and I really enjoyed it. Like I learned a lot through like all the different internships that I did, and the curriculum that we have in at Bauer for supply chain was a lot more hands on, and like rather than just doing theoretical learning, you would actually apply it through like case competitions, as you know. So like it was really helpful for me because I knew that I couldn't just learn theory. Like I said, like I'm not a book smart person. Like sitting in a classroom and trying to understand theory just didn't make sense to me. I had to like actually go into the workforce and learn it while I do it. I'm an experiential learner. So for me, I was like, okay, the best way I can learn any of the theory that I'm learning in class is by actually applying it in internships. So that's kind of the route that I went with. I was like, okay, I can go and like do classes all week and like get a 4.0 GPA, or at least try to. I wasn't smart enough to get it, to be honest. Or I could focus on what my strengths are and adhere my learning to my learning style. And that was like experiential learning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn by doing internships and being in the job and understanding how corporate structure works, how businesses flow, how like processes are integrated to like make things work as a whole, right? So that's kind of why I honestly did so many internships. I don't recommend it. Honestly, you don't really need 6 internships to like get a good job. I mean, I'm still at IBM. It's not like Microsoft or anything, but at the same time, like it's an amazing company. You know, like I love IBM because of it matching my values and what I'm looking for in a company. So honestly, you can get there with only 1 or 2 internships, or even no internships at all. But I think at least for me, what I learned was in college, you're not just trying to like learn like the theory, but you're also trying to learn how to learn. Like that, I think is really important. If you're just going with the traditional way of how school teaches you, like you sit in the classroom, you learn theory, you take an exam, you do the homework. A lot of people don't learn that way. You know, like personally for me, I hated homework. Like I barely ever did homework, and I'll be completely honest with you. I took like maybe 2 weeks worth of notes all throughout college career. Like I would like sit in the first week of class and be like, yeah, I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna like have everything in my planner. 2 weeks in, I'm like, whatever. I can't do this. And I would like just be really lazy and like I wasn't very organized. I will say that, and that's something I'm still working on. And I've been a lot better since. But for me, sitting in a classroom didn't really help. So I found my own way, and it was a lot more helpful. And I think the biggest thing I learned throughout college was to network. You know, I think networking is really, really important. All the internships that I got weren't because I was super smart or had like incredible caliber or anything. I think it's mostly because I was putting myself out there. I was having a growth mindset, and I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. I realized like when I was in school, I didn't enjoy learning because it was very structured in a examination kind of form, and you were, rather than learning, you were just memorizing things, you know. And I didn't enjoy that. But when I figured out the way that I like to learn, I actually got interested in learning, and like I was like excited to learn, and I would go down the rabbit hole and just like go into things that I'm really interested in, and then talk to people about their experiences with certain things that like they've been a part of, and that's how I started learning through other people's experiences and just putting myself out there. And like if I found things that were like interesting, I'll just go on YouTube or like talk to people or like just find ways to like learn more about it, and like that helped me a lot. And here I am, still a student. I mean, I'm not in a classroom or like I'm not in a university, but I consider myself to be a lifelong student. I don't consider myself to be like my job title, because I don't want to like hold myself down to just my title. Like I'm constantly wanting to learn and grow. And if tomorrow I get bored of what I'm learning right now, I'll go into something different in my profession. So that's kind of where I am at right now. I know it's a really, really long answer, but yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I'm sorry if you're looking at me glitching right now, but you heard it here. Like you heard it here first. Find out like the way that you want to learn, because that will come a long way. Especially seeing someone like David. To be honest, I didn't know that you were like not very book smart, because from an outside perspective, you would assume. But I feel like that's such a good advice, because as my current boss says, you got to find out what you don't like first, and then find what you do like. And that just makes the process way easier and way more efficient for you. So I think it's going to go a long way for a lot of the listeners and for me as well. So, David, just for those listeners out there trying to really stand out during their first internship, what do you consider are the do's and don'ts when going into that first position?
First don't would be don't think that you have to know everything. And like don't put too much pressure on yourself because like they know that you're just a student, that this is your first internship, and they have a lot more grace for interns, trust me, okay? So I would say just walk in with the attitude of learning, like that you're hungry to learn, that you want to grow and have a growth mindset, because I think people that like before they even get in think that they know everything, or like they like or like just stuck in their own like thoughts, I think just limit themselves from growing because they're not open to other opportunities, you know? So I would say like be as open as you can, like be open to opportunities that you don't even think that you might like. I mean, my first internship, I was a research and outreach intern. And literally what I would do is I worked for a recruiting consulting firm, and essentially they would like hire people for like major consulting firms like Deloitte, McKinsey, BCG, IBM, right? So like they would find people in the C-suite level and see if they would like to like move from their job. Let's say a person from BMW who's like the vice president of procurement. If they think he's like a good candidate for Deloitte's procurement transformation system or like transformation like practice, they'll like reach out to them and be like, hey, I think that you'd be a good fit for this. Would you be interested in it? If they are, they would send their resume, and that's when I would come in and I would like edit their resume. Like literally, I would like format it to what our standard was, and then like submit it out. And like at first when I sat there, I was like, how is this like helping me, you know? But I think for me, what I learned a lot more from that internship was the fact that like since that like company was so small, I think it was like 16 people in total, right? I was able to have visibility on how business works, you know? So my goal with like my first internship was to like work with a smaller company, and then my second or third internship to be a mid-sized company, and then go into a large corporation so I can see what the company cultures are like in various sized companies, and also kind of understand like how I play in like the entire company, like what my role is, you know? So in that small company, at least for me, I learned that like I could understand like how finance department, which is like one person, is like dealing with like the marketing team, which is like two people, who's also working with like the legal team, who's working with the consultants. And like it made me understand business as a whole really, really well, right? So what I would say is like whatever internship you're going into, try to understand the corporate structure and understand how processes are being worked. If you're in a large corporation, it might be really hard because you might just be a small piece in a huge company, but try to understand it as much as you can. Like even if it's high level, it's still better than like just doing your daily tasks. Like you can do your daily tasks, which is like you should be doing it. But on top of that, like explore, try to understand corporate culture, try to understand corporate structure, try to understand like what your team does, what your manager does, what people that you're working with do, and like be open to like asking questions. I think when we first go to our first internship, or even like in any job, we have like this little fear that like, oh, people might judge us if we don't do well, you know? But as your first internship, like they want you to ask questions. And if you're gonna like just sit there and like let's say like they explain you a whole process, right? And at the end they're like, hey, do you have any questions? And you don't say anything, then to the person who's giving you all the information, he's just thinking, okay, either he didn't really pay attention, or he thinks he got all this information down right from the get-go. And then if like they make you do a task and you don't know how to do it, they're like, okay, I don't know what to do with this guy. Like I'm trying to help him, but he doesn't want to be helped. You know? So having that inquisitive mindset where you're like, okay, hey, I don't know if I'm getting this fully. Can you like explain it in a different analogy? Or if you can like dumb it down for me a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Like some companies might not have the culture where they're going to sit you down and explain it. I've been in companies like that. But that also teaches you something, right? Like go in with the mindset that like this company isn't the only company I'm going to go for. And this isn't the only company that's out there for me. If you're going in with your first internship just trying to learn, also try to figure out what things you like about the company, what things you don't like about the company, because that will also help you figure out, okay, when I go into my first full-time job, what am I looking for in a company? You know, like, do I want a fast-paced environment? Do I want people that are just going to, like, throw me in a deep water? Or do I want someone who's going to, like, take the time to explain things for me? Maybe I like being just, like, thrown in and, like, being independent. Or maybe I need a little bit more guidance, you know? So, like, like your good experiences and your bad experiences are going to help you out a lot. So I would just say like be open-minded, ask a lot of questions, don't think that you have to know everything, and like be okay with making mistakes and be open about making mistakes. Like a lot of times we get scared, like, oh, like I messed up this Excel file, like what do I do? Let me like just try to like fix it before like anybody else notices. But like when you're doing that, you're only digging yourself a deeper hole. Because if you like just let your manager know a little bit earlier, hey, like I was trying to work on this, and I kind of think I messed it up. I need some help. At least they can like firefight that a little bit earlier and mitigate that problem while it's small, versus you coming up later when it's like something that you really can't fix and it's out of your control, and it's too late to like fix that. You know? Yeah, you might like be told like, hey, you did this wrong, or like you might get yelled at a little bit, but like don't take it too hard, because like honestly, you're there to learn. You're gonna be there for like maybe 3-4 months, and after that, you might work with them. You might not work with them again ever. You know, so don't let people's criticisms get to you, like emotionally, but take it as a way for you to just grow and learn. If you think it's applicable and you think, okay, what they're saying is it's like it's true and they're doing it in the best interest for me, listen to them. Cut your ego down, because like your ego is like your worst enemy. Throw it out before you go into your first internship, and just be open to learning. You know. And secondly, if you have made a mistake, like let them know ways that you're thinking about mitigating it or like fixing it. Come up with solutions rather than just complaints. Don't go to your manager and be like, hey, I messed this up, or I can't find this, or I don't know what this means. Can you tell me? Like, no, tell them, hey, I've been looking, I've done XYZ to like figure out this problem, and I still haven't been able to find it. I'm thinking about reaching out to XYZ person, but if you have any other suggestions, or if you know of a solution that you think would be better in this situation, please let me know. So that way you're showing the person that like, hey, you're open to criticism, you want to learn, and you're also going out of your way to find solutions. You're not only just bringing problems, right? And I think that will help you go a long way, not only just in your first internship, but throughout your career.
Totally. And I think something I want to highlight from what you just said is the open-mindedness. Like being able to experience the whole thing, like good or bad, and just like take it in on the best way possible. And I feel like over time that would just really, really make your progress more efficient and just better, and make you like not only a better worker, but just a better person overall, because you don't receive feedback only from internships or jobs or whatever, but you receive feedback on a daily basis from your relationships, from your friendships, from your parents even. So if you receive all of that feedback on a positive note, it's going to come back to you on a positive note as well. So I feel like that's a good advice, David. On this,
just to add on to that, it also in a way helps you be a better person in the future, because you notice how people are acting, right? Like if you had a bad manager and you didn't like the way he's managing or like his leadership styles, when you become a manager, you know exactly what not to do, because you've seen how that affected you when you were just an employee or part of a team. So like in that sense as well, like all experiences are learning experiences if you take it as a learning experience. If you're just gonna like throw it away as like, oh, this was a good experience, this was a bad experience, and you don't learn from it, that's meaningless, you know? So I would say like have that mindset where you're trying to grow and learn from different ways, but also just be open to like standing up, like, you know, like step up to opportunities, because a lot of times if you're just waiting for opportunities to come, you'll only get like one or two. But if you step up for every single thing that you can, and if you want to do it, like step up and be like, hey, I see that you're going to this meeting. Can I be a part of it? Can I like just sit in and listen so I can like understand what you're doing a little bit better? Or like, hey, I see that you're working on this project and you seem a little stressed out because you're also in XYZ project. Can I help in any way? That way, you're showing that you're willing to work hard, but you're also getting more opportunities to learn and grow from. If you just wait to be given information to you or given tasks, then your growth trajectory is going to be a lot slower. But at the same time, you also need to know your own limitations and capabilities. Don't put too much on your plate. I've done that before, where you just like say, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. And then you're drowning in work and your quality of work is going down. Like, know what you can handle and make sure you deliver. We always say under promise and over deliver. You know, so like whatever you can do, good. If you can't do it, be honest with it and just have that balance.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a good way to seeing it, because especially young people and business students, really trying to fill their plate with a lot of they can, especially being in college. You want to experience the whole student org thing. I know that here at in Bauer, the students are really hungry for that experience, for being able to be a part of this amazing student orgs that are very competitive, and they offer full-time, like real-life experience when you're in them. So sometimes it may backfire on you whenever you try to be involved as much as possible, because you're not gonna be really present in just one of them, which really makes a difference, you know. So I feel like that's amazing. And here, all the guests that had before, like 3 of them, we like to talk about relationships and how that is important. So David, I want to know, how has building those relationships been a part of your success?
Oh, relationships are everything, man. Another thing about the first internship, I would say, find yourself a mentor. Find yourself multiple mentors if needed, right? I think building relationship is a long-term thing. It's not just it's not something that you do just to get something out of it. You know, like a lot of times, I think even when recruiting season starts, people start like reaching out to like recruiters or like people in the company, like, hey, I'm interested in this position. Can you help me out with this? And essentially, it gives off the vibe that you're just trying to use somebody, you know. But if you're genuinely trying to have a relationship, I think you have to take a step back and just be inquisitive about the person and learn from the person, and also contribute to the relationship by giving advice or helping out wherever you can. I think relationships just exponentially increase the trajectory of your career so much, because like you could go try to do everything by yourself, but if you don't have support, you're not really going to get that far. People that have a big network, I mean, a lot of successful people usually have multiple mentors. They read a lot of books, and they're open to getting suggestions from people. They're open to listening to people. They're open to building more like relationships. Because I think, especially in this world, like in today's age of work, there's so many people just applying, you know, like to applying to jobs. So like the way you stand out is by having like a referral, or like having an internal employee kind of recommending to the hiring manager, hey, I know this person, you know, they're a good candidate. You should reach out to them first. Because like if you, let's say you're applying to I don't know, IBM, right? And the way that you apply is like you just go on their application form, find the jobs that you're interested in, submit your resume, click send. Okay, you're done. And now you're waiting. You've done the bare minimum that everybody else is doing to actually get the job. You know, like if you didn't do that, you would never get the job. But you applying is just the first step. Like it doesn't help you stand out in any way. It doesn't make you a better candidate, because let's be honest, like IBM is a huge company. We get like thousands and thousands. Actually, I think they have like 150, 100, or even like 200,000 like applications just for consulting, like in this like one quarter, you know? So a recruiter is not gonna like take time to like fully understand your story and see, okay, this person has gone through these organizations. Oh, this person had like, oh, this experience, that's really nice. Like they're gonna spend like 6 seconds. That's it on your resume. And if your resume even gets looked at, like if it's kind of average, most of the time they won't even like care enough to like get to know you more, right? So how are you actually getting yourself out there? What are you doing to get yourself an additional like step towards getting that internship or like full-time job? It comes through your relationships. It comes through people that you know. Because I mean, other than that, you're just doing basic level stuff. So I would say get yourself multiple mentors in different industries, different companies that you're interested in, or even if like different like work fields. Like it doesn't even have to be in business. Like, you know, like I have mentors that are like from my church. I have mentors that are in the medical field, like they're doctors and stuff. I have mentors in the business realm. I have mentors who are like kind of my age, like a little bit older. I have mentors who are like much, much older. I think that's important because it helps you understand through different people's experiences. Like I mentioned in the beginning, like I learned a lot through other people's experiences. I learned a lot because of other people's failures and successes, because it made me understand, okay, if I do something similar to this, there's a chance I might fail. But if I follow their success factors or their success behaviors, maybe I'll also have something similar to it. but I can adapt my reactions and adapt my actions based on the situation I'm in. But it just helps me be better equipped and have the knowledge beforehand to be able to apply that knowledge and be wise with it.
That's very, very important. I think that without me asking, that has been a common denominator of all the guests that I've had here. Not only on the podcast, but like all the interviews that I've done before. That is like the main advice, to build your network. And as I always say, like towards the end of the episode, which I will, but just build a quality network, not just ask for things from people that you know they can help you in some way, but just like they're people too. So you cannot just see them as a tool. You have to build those relationships like genuinely, and that will get you places without you even asking for things. Because having like a quality relationship is just like more fulfilling than like any job or any internship that they can get you. Because like you're getting to know a person, and I feel like that's just beautiful. That's like the foundation of a happy life. And I would say definitely follow David's advice on that area, because it's the right answer. And moving on from that, David, let's say that you have a time machine and you go back to 2018 and you have like 18-year-old David in front of you. What advice would you give to him?
Oh, wow. I would say don't compare yourself to other people, because I used to do that a lot, and that's how I kind of started my college career. I was kind of ashamed of my growth compared to other people. They were a lot smarter. They were a lot more accomplished, and I would feel a little bit insecure. And I'd be like, hey, man, like, I got to do this and this and that to, like, feel validated. You know, I was chasing validation in destinations rather than finding validation within myself and within my progress. And I think that can be a very, like, toxic environment to be in. If you compare, like, I don't know who said this, but a famous person said, comparison is the thief of joy. And I 1000% agree with it. I think when you start comparing yourself to other people, you're never going to be happy, because there's always going to be somebody who might be better than you in some aspect, right? But if you compare yourself to yourself, who you were yesterday, I think then you're creating this idea of like, okay, I want to continuously grow. I want to improve myself. And before you know it, when you look back, you're going to be like, wow, I've really gone a long way. But if you continue to like, after you've grown, still be unhappy because you see somebody else having a better job or having more money or like looking happy or having a better relationship from the outside, you're gonna always be sad. So I think I would tell myself, hey, bro, like it doesn't matter how many internships you get. That doesn't define your value. It doesn't matter if you're the president of an organization or if you've been in multiple leadership positions. That doesn't define your value. Having a lot of friends doesn't define your value. What you want to do and who you are as a person every single day, that defines your value. And us, like, even living, like, the fact that we have life in itself shows that we have value. You know, like, life is a very valuable thing. I think a lot of times we tend to, like, forget to appreciate that because we're so caught up with, like, societal expectations and trying to fit into society or, like, have success in society. But the thing about success is, success in itself is subjective, you know, like your idea of success might be completely different than my idea of success. So it's like, if I'm chasing somebody else's idea of success, when I get to that point, I'm still going to be unhappy, you know? And like, that happened to me a lot. I interned with some really big companies. I interned at Tesla, Amazon, and like, I would get praised by a lot of people. They're like, hey, bro, you're a Tesla intern. That's so cool, you know? And like, for the first week, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm that guy, you know? Like, this is dope. But like, after that, I was like, wait, like, I don't have that satisfaction anymore. Like, I don't feel that good feeling in me anymore. Like, it kind of like faded away. Why? And I realized it's because I was just chasing the title. I was chasing the prestige rather than chasing the progress, you know? Like, instead of focusing on if I get to XYZ level, then people will respect me, focus on respecting yourself first. I think respecting yourself in the sense that, like, I know I'm not perfect. Even now, I'm learning. And that's okay. The fact that I want to learn, the fact that I have these desires, the fact that I have this ambition towards wanting to improve myself in multiple different aspects, not just like career wise, like just as a person, shows the fact that like I'm a valuable member of society. Like everybody has the opportunity to grow, change, learn. But if you kind of like focus on other people more than yourself, you're never going to be fully happy.
That is very well said. And like, I want to, just going off of that, I want to tell you why I chose this topic, David, to talk with you. It's kind of getting off topic, but I remember when we were talking on January of this year at the bar here at UH, we were just coming off of the meeting, and on that meeting, everybody was like mentioning, "Oh, David, the sixth internship guy," like repeatedly. And I was like, if I didn't know David, I would say like, "Oh, this guy is legit." Like he obviously is enjoying this praise because there's like a lot of important people in the room. But like I knew you by then, and I know that that title of like the internship guy was not fulfilling compared to like the relationships that you built within the organization that we were having the meeting on. And is that reason that I decided to touch on the internships today? Because not only, like for all the listeners out there, not only David has a lot of experience, like technical experience, of course, but he's the nicest guy ever. He's very approachable. He's very approachable. And,
I appreciate
like,
that.
yeah. And like, you know, what you just said about respecting yourself and like having that value for yourself, you only realize how that much, like how it's important for you based on the impact that you have on others. And I gotta be honest, like you have a lot of impact on myself because I know like when you were still here in UH, we didn't talk that much, but now that you graduated, we've gotten to talk and gotten communication more often. I just confirm that like you've always been an inspiration for me, and like I'm sure that you also have a lot of impact on the other students that are like even younger than me and like just getting started in this college pathway. Not only and like not mainly because of what you've accomplished professionally, but because of the way you approach people and the way people approach yourself, like you. Because that really shows your value as a person, like the way that you have an impact on others. And like I take my hat off to you, man, because like it's a lot, you know, like it's really cool. So
I really appreciate you saying that, but like I also want to make sure like people know that like I wasn't always like this either. Like at one point, I did let the internships get into my head. You know, like I did let like people's praise get into my head and think like I'm that guy, I'm Timothy, you know. But when I did do that, I realized that like it wasn't like making me satisfied. That's why like I think for me, the reason why I am the way I am today is because of the experiences that I've gone through. I've gone through a lot of ups and I've gone through a lot of downs, but I think like for me, I've realized like people and like relationships are a lot more important than accomplishments. At the end of the day, like when I die, you know, like I'm not gonna take my job with me. I'm not gonna take a big house with me. I'm not gonna take anything with me. I'm gonna die by myself in the grave all alone, you know. But the only thing that people will remember me by, like the fact that like I had this many internships, no one's gonna remember that. But if I'm able to like make someone's life a little bit better or like have an impact in any way, I think that will be my legacy, and like that's what I'm kind of striding for. Because like other than that, there's nothing really else I can give to this world other than helping someone else out. And I think you're doing the same exact thing with this podcast and wanting to help people out, wanting to help out the younger students, giving them inspiration, giving them a platform, and also like resources to be able to learn from other people's experiences. And I think that you have the right mindset and you have the right heart towards it, which is why I respect you a lot too. And like we've always had good conversations whenever we do. I know like we didn't talk much during college. I was kind of a dumb kid, making my own dumb decisions back in the day. But we all live and learn, you know. We live and learn. So, but yeah, it's part of life.
totally, man. And I'm gonna ask you one more question about internship, and then we go to the final ones, like off topic. So, what is an unexpected challenge that you encountered during your internships?
An unexpected challenge. So personally for me, like I said, I was very ambitious when I was like first starting out in my internships, and I wanted to be that guy, you know, like I was chasing the validation, in certain like positions, and like by doing the most, I was like, okay, yeah, this is when like my parents will respect me, because like my brother's always been the smart kid, like really high GPA, summa cum laude, going to med school, always like all the teachers loved him, and like when I used to go to parent teacher conferences, like it would be horrible, so like I'd always try to like meet my parents' expectations by trying to like get to my brother's level, which I never will in that sense. But I have my own qualities, and I've realized that now. But so I was trying to do a lot, right? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, if I do all these things, I'll be favorable in the eyes of my managers. But every single internship that I did, whenever we would have like feedback, every single one of my managers would tell me, hey, you're putting too much on your plate. And like, it's good to be ambitious, but it's also more important to have quality work than a lot of work on your plate, And at first I never really got that. I was like, yeah, I mean, I need to do well. And if I just become a little bit more organized and like manage my time better, I'll be able to continue doing all these different things, but also have good quality, But like, I think I was a little bit over ambitious and like not understanding my capabilities. And what I realized was, hey, sometimes you just gotta take a step back, and it's not about all the tasks that you complete that will get you a full-time offer. It's more about how you create an impact and how you're able to transform the company in anything and everything that you do. And I'm not saying that you have to like go in and like change the entire process, no. But even changing the culture within your team and like bringing in a positive environment, like an attitude, can have a huge impact in the team that you're in, and like your like the way people look at you, So like a lot of times we're like trying to focus on the technical capabilities or technical accomplishments while we're in an internship. Like, oh yeah, I completed these tasks, I did this in my project. But like that's it, like that's very important. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's equally important to have a positive attitude. It's equally important to build relationships, transform company culture in a positive sense, and show people that like, hey, we're not just coming in to like work 9 to 5 and leave and not care. I'm here to like make life better for myself and like the society that I'm in, So joining BRGs, like business resource groups, participating in volunteering parts, taking initiatives in the team itself are very good ways, I think, that can be like helpful. And I didn't do that at first, and that was a big challenge for me, Like first 3 internships, I kind of just like was focusing on technical ability, technical, and like understanding by like just doing things on my own time. I would like just like notice without like asking much questions. But then I started like realizing, oh, okay, wait, I gotta like do more than just my technical stuff. Like it's a lot more than just finishing your job.
Sure. Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And David, with the previous guests that I've had and the ones that are to come, I've tried to have constant questions that I can ask all of them towards the end of the episode. So I always ask them what makes them happy, but I'm going to start asking this other question I asked them in the previous episode, which is express, like, what is that person that gave you an opportunity once that you would like to express your gratitude towards? And just like take this opportunity to do it.
Man, I have so many people to thank. Like, I could go on for like 2 more hours. But yeah, man, like everything that I've had so far, like every single thing has been because of somebody else. Like I haven't, like I'm just being completely honest. I'm not trying to be like a showboat or like, I'm not trying to be like humble. I'm just being completely frank and honest with you. Like every single internship I've had is because somebody gave me a chance. Every single decision I've made that's been like worked out for me well is because somebody gave me that opportunity. And for me, I wouldn't have had any of those if it wasn't for my Christ, my like Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like I know a lot of people aren't into religion and stuff, but like for me, even the fact that I'm alive, like the opportunity to like have an able body where I can like, I don't have a lot of like diseases or like ailments. I don't have a lot of struggles. I would say I'm a very privileged person. Like, yeah, I'm an immigrant. I'm a person of color, but like, I'm still very privileged. I live in a very nice house. I live with a loving family. I have both parents in the family in the equation that like care for me, have sacrificed their entire lives for me, And like I've had friends who've gone above and beyond for me. And I wouldn't have any of that if it wasn't for like God just working miraculously in my life. And to be honest, like I've messed up multiple times. I've walked away. I've been rebellious. I've been selfish a lot of times, and I've like strayed away from what God has planned for me. A lot of times, just to like, enjoy life and like seek those temporary pleasures. But that's the whole thing. Like it's always temporary. It's never been like satisfactory. It's never been like joy. It's been happiness, but it hasn't been joy. There's a big difference between happiness and joy. Happiness can be temporary. Like you can be happy right now, sad tomorrow. And like you can have joy even in your sad times. You can have joy even in your like hard times. And I think that is like, for me at least, like it's only been because of Jesus. So to me, like I owe everything and all things to him. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't be the person I am if it wasn't for him. Like I would have been in a ditch. I would have been in a really, really, really bad place if it wasn't for the number of times he's just like taken me out from my dark places and like helped me get back to him. So yeah, got to give him glory for everything, man.
You got to. You got to always express your gratitude, no matter what religion you are, but understand that expressing gratitude towards the universe or whatever you believe in, it's a must, and you got to, man. So, last question, David. Please tell us what makes you happy.
What makes me happy? I mean, mint chocolate chip ice cream. I know that's a controversial. But I mean, yeah. What makes me happy is the fact that I'm alive, bro. Like the fact that I get to choose every single day. I get to live my life. I get to build relationships. Like just the opportunity to have that, like I'm not in a really bad position compared to a lot of other people. And for that, I'm like grateful, like, because I've been blessed with that. And like, I don't know, like just the simple things in life. I don't think like money brings me a lot of happiness. Like I don't really care about money like that. I don't really care about prestige as much anymore either. I used to. But I realized like all those things are like very temporary for me. Being able to help other people definitely makes me a lot happier. I think like being able to do something for someone else rather than just for myself makes me a lot happier. So yeah, I mean, just being a positive influence and trying to make the world a little bit of a better place. Like I know I might not be able to like change the entire world, but like even like being able to change a one person's life or like making somebody else smile makes me a lot happier. So. Oh, that.
Very well said. I gotta say, I gotta agree with you on that one. And to all the new listeners, make sure to check out the previous episodes. As I mentioned, and I always try to mention in every episode, don't be afraid to reach out, because it's not about the things that you can get from other people, but it's about building those quality like relationships. And I feel like we have a great example here with David. Man, I'm very happy to do that you got to do this with me, and I'm sure that all listeners that are listening at home are also very grateful for you. So thank you for being here, and yeah.
Yeah, and hey, if anybody ever wants to reach out to me, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just like reach out. Don't hesitate. I don't bite, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're beneath me. Like I'm not that guy. Like I'm happy to help wherever I can. So feel free to like reach out, and I'll be fun to talk to. Hopefully.
Awesome. All right, guys. See you later. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.